Okay, I'm gonna cut to the chase here. Chances are if you're watching this video, you know that Doja Cat has become a rather polarizing figure over the last couple of months, which makes her a prime candidate for this little series I do where I go through the trajectory of a famous celebrity in the eyes of the internet. So all I would need to do to technically meet the criteria for a video like this is summarize the various antics of Doja Cat on Instagram within the last month or so, and there are plenty of videos breaking that down if you want to go look at those, but I want to do something a little different today. I've been a fan of Doja Cat since around 2017-2018, and what you need to fundamentally understand about her to get her is that she started her career off sort of ironically. She was making music, but then essentially became an internet troll, and as she gained popularity and people started taking her music more seriously, she then had to contend with the fact that she had to fit herself into this box, into this mass-produced image, and then once she got big enough, she realized she wasn't happy with that anymore. And first of all, I want to talk about how that came to be and how that happened and the ethics surrounding that kind of identity crisis. The second thing I want to talk about is how there is no uniform definition of cancel culture on the internet. That's kind of what this series has been about in the long run, but it really shows itself here. Doja Cat is very much a child of the internet. Her rap career was pretty much born out of an online subculture, constantly researching and repackaging beats to rap and sing over, and cultivating those smaller projects on her SoundCloud. In the early 2010s, she was bouncing around with various producers, releasing small mixtapes and other projects, until going on a brief hiatus, and then returning to the music scene in 2018 with her first full-length album, Amala, which is Doja's legal first name. In my opinion, Amala is a very solid album, and I think it got a lot more appreciation after Doja's popularity skyrocketed online, but it mostly flew under the radar until one of the tracks, Candy, ended up blowing up on TikTok, which is a pretty common occurrence now, but Doja was actually one of the first to really succeed in taking advantage of the viral sound formula. An interesting point of note here is that Doja has openly expressed a sort of disdain for Amala since its release, claiming that it doesn't represent her well as an artist, that she was pressured by her label into finishing it, and that she doesn't closely identify with the album's lyrics or production because she was so high while recording all of it. We will revisit the sentiment a little later. But Doja's boost in popularity would not come from any single off Amala, even with that slight uptick in listens from the Candy trend. In August of 2018, she released a novelty song and corresponding video called Moo, in which she dressed up as a cow in front of a cheap green screen and sang about, being a cow. The whole video and song became a meme, and it showed that Doja not only had personality, but a pretty solid understanding of how internet culture could play into an artist's marketability. I mean, the whole thing is an ironic bit from the costume, to the anime titties, to eating fries while rapping. It was a perfect absurdist firestorm for the moment, and it definitely put her on the map. A formula we would later see artists try to replicate to varying degrees of success. Moo, combined with another single, Tia Tamara, featuring Rico Nasty, one of my favorite songs of all time, by the way, really made people start paying attention to her. So Doja was on more people's radar by this specific point in time, and she was certainly on mine, but her popularity really exploded thanks to Say So, a single off of her 2019 album Hot Pink. Hot Pink is beloved by a lot of people, myself included, and many people credit the notoriety of the project to the viral success of Say So. It got plenty of remixes throughout the course of the pandemic and gave her a lot of good fortune heading into her next album, Planet Her. Planet Her was released in 2021, and hot take, I don't like it as much as most people do. That's just me though. I tend to gravitate more toward Hot Pink and the sound of Amala personally, although I do love Kiss Me More featuring SZA, that's a great song. But Planet Her was definitely Doja's most commercial album up until this point. It was hyper-feminized, almost leaned into bubblegum territory but a little edgier, and visually the aesthetic was that of a hyper-femme style mixed with intergalactic sci-fi and Greek mythology themes. It was cohesive, it was a package that made sense for her at the time, and people really leaned into it. She solidified herself as a main pop girl even though she was a rapper, and that was evident in her performance ability as well. She wore sexy outfits that flattered her body well, and she could really dance. I remember a lot of comparisons during this era to 90s pop stars like Britney and Christina, and I understand why that vibe was so sought after because it's very much not the style of more modern pop acts today, for example Olivia Rodrigo or Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift. But the thing you have to remember about Doja is that she's pretty weird, and she definitely wants you to perceive her that way. And like most people in the generation raised by the internet, the weird or problematic things that you do online mostly stay in the shadows unless you're famous. So as the title card suggests, we are going to be talking about the many controversies of Doja Cat. And this isn't even including like the recent stuff in the Scarlet era. This is stuff leading up to like 2020 that people have uncovered. And for the sake of both brevity and clarity, I will not be discussing my opinion in relation to what any of these controversies actually mean about Doja. I'm going to save that for the end of the video when we talk about cancel culture. But I do think these details are important to mention now because they provide a fundamental understanding to Doja's current attitude toward her fans, towards fame, and towards the people who currently surround her. We'll start by rattling these off and then we'll go from there, you'll see. Okay, first and foremost, Doja Cat has had somewhat of a relationship with disgraced music producer Dr. Luke since around 2012 when she first signed to RCA Records. If you're unfamiliar, Dr. Luke has been in a long legal battle with pop singer Kesha, who he is accused of essaying. Dr. Luke has been producing music under various pseudonyms since his allegations went public, and he did in fact produce Doja's biggest hit, Say So. Doja has not commented publicly on this, however, has liked tweets suggesting that she would not have initially signed with him had she known the truth about his actions. Fans later discovered that in 2015, Doja uploaded and then removed a song from her SoundCloud. The song had a title that also doubled as a racist slang term coined in alt-right online circles to demean victims of police brutality. When the song resurfaced in May of 2020, it was actually rumored that Doja made the song in response to the July 2015 death of Sandra Bland, a claim that Doja later denied on an Instagram Live. Also in 2020, Doja Cat was accused of saying and doing some out-of-pocket shit in online chat rooms, which she says she has been using since she was a child. Users uploaded alleged proof of Doja Cat on TinyChat interacting with other users in a way that some considered inappropriate and even racist. While offensive terms, phrases, and jokes from Doja have been documented, there were also rumors that she was specifically in alt-right tiny chats, and that she was stripping for members of the alt-right, although that doesn't have any concrete proof. In another Instagram Live, Doja denied these claims, saying that she has not participated in any racist conversations. However, that does contradict an interview that she gave with Paper Magazine, where she explained that when she was younger, she used to participate rather frequently in these online chat rooms, and a lot of the time offensive jokes would be hurled at her, and so she would say them back. It is worth noting here that Doja Cat has had a long history of alleged anti-blackness despite the fact that she is black. FD Signifier has a very solid video about this on his B-Sides channel, and he's obviously more equipped to speak about this topic than me, so I'll link that in the description down below if you're interested. Obviously, depending on the kind of person you are and whether or not you're willing to separate the art from the artist in some cases, these things may have turned you off to Doja Cat entirely. And I feel like a lot of times when it comes to popular artists, people tend to have a to each his own mentality when it comes to supporting an artist after finding out about problematic things they've done until a certain point, until it reaches a certain threshold. And throughout the years, Doja Cat has had a lot of fans who have supported her throughout her various trials, tribulations, and antics. Up until a certain point. Though their relationship has never been officially confirmed, Doja Cat has been frequently spotted with social media influencer Jay Cyrus. They've been seen in public with one another as early as November of last year, and Jay Cyrus has a number of serious allegations levied against him. In 2019 and 2020, a number of young women came forward with stories of his alleged manipulation and abuse towards them. The stories came out again when he and Doja were rumored to be dating, and Rolling Stone reported that he offered a now-deleted apology for those allegations, saying, quote, "There is no excuse nor justification for my actions. I was careless, I was greedy, I was ignorant, I was disrespectful, and I was completely in the wrong. In a position of power and trust, I gave in to temptations and attention of those who looked up to me. These women are special, they are strong, and they are worth so much more than me and my ignorance, and I failed to realize that when it mattered." I guess the chatter about this potential relationship eventually got back to Doja, with people commenting about it on her Instagram, and then she finally replied, "I want y'all to read this comment and take it as a message. I don't give a fuck what you think about my personal life. I never have and never will give a fuck what you think about me or my personal life. Goodbye and good riddance, miserable hoes, haha." This message prompted mass unfollows from a lot of her fans, and that seemed to awaken something rather positive in Doja, at least for her. As the unfollow spree began, she posted this story saying, "Seeing all these people unfollow me makes me feel like I've defeated a large beast that's been holding me down for so long, and it feels like I can reconnect with the people who really matter and love me for who I am, and not for who I was. I feel free." And then everything was fine, and she went back to being a SoundCloud rapper, and no one ever spoke of anything that happened after this ever again. Right, guys? That's totally what happened, right? Right?
To like your music, but you treat your fans like shit. Dude, literally suck. You act like I have some responsibility to be like babying people and treating people like stupid, but they're not stupid. That's why I yell at them. Somebody coming in here being like, "You're ugly as when you're bald." That's my fan. You're so misguided. You act like I'm saying My fans are, it's like you're hearing me say that out of my mouth when I never did. There's a lot of people I don't like who I listen to their music. If I knew them, I probably wouldn't like them. I'm not your friend. I make music and you like it. And if you don't, cool, great. I don't give a. I'm not doing it so that you like me. I'm doing it because it's fun.
Okay, so Doja cut her hair, shaved her eyebrows, lost a little bit of weight, and started wearing makeup a little differently, and became really comfortable with telling her fans to fuck off. And this Instagram Live in particular caused a bit of a rift online, because on one hand, is it a little cringy to be yelling at your fans on social media like this? Yeah, sure, it's definitely uncomfortable and off-putting because we're not used to seeing famous people engage so directly in that way, and some fans of Doja felt betrayed after sticking by her for all of these years despite numerous other controversies, only to be told that she really doesn't give a fuck about them. And at this point, not only was Doja disavowing her fans' opinions of her, which definitely hurt them on a parasocial level, I would believe, but she was also talking badly about the music in the past that she had put out that a lot of people love, and that definitely rubbed people the wrong way. In fact, she went as far as to say that her most successful albums, Hot Pink and Planet Her, were just cash grabs and that her fans fell for her scheme to just make money. Whether or not she legitimately does feel that way about her old music, personally, I don't think she actually does. That's not necessarily the best strategy, especially when you're trying to roll out a new album, because it opens you up to basically any kind of cannon fodder with your new music where people can just be like, well, she's putting out the same shit as before even though she's disavowing the old shit. And ultimately, whether or not you think she's being genuine in these statements is up to you, but it does call into question the responsibility that artists have toward their fans at the end of the day. She's an artist who makes music, and all she ever wanted was for people to listen to it. She never wanted an army. She never wanted bouts of people rigging VMA polls for her or attacking other fan bases online. She doesn't need to be liked, and that inherently takes away the power of the online masses who surround her.
I want to give you the night out that you deserve, but I want to say what I think and not care what you think about it. A part of me loves you, part of me hates you, part of me needs you, a part of me fears you.
If you've never heard a snippet of that song before, that is Can't Handle This Right Now, the finale song from Bo Burnham's comedy special Make Happy. Basically, in that song, he's trying to imitate Kanye with like a vocoder rant, yelling about stupid shit that doesn't matter, only to turn around and reveal what the song is actually about, which is that fame really kind of sucks sometimes. And the part of me fears you bit always stuck out to me every time I revisited that particular comedy special, but it resonates with me even more now that I have a taste of extremely minor, and let me be clear here, no one needs to humble me, extremely minor internet fame. A lot of times for me, it feels like the audience holds a lot of power, and that while I feel like I'm in control and I feel like I'm giving you the entertainment that I would put out whether or not there were 50 people watching me or 50,000 people watching me, deep down I know that I'm performing for you, and ideally I'm performing some version of what you want to see. And every actual famous person probably feels that same way to a heightened degree. And of course I don't feel entirely bad for them because they do have the privilege of being able to travel and perform for people and afford things that us common folk will never be able to experience. So is this a we should pity famous people argument? Not necessarily, no. I don't even pity Doja, really. But on just like a basic level of human understanding, I kind of understand why she has taken this route of disavowing everything that ever made her popular. Because it's probably very freeing to make the music that you like, that you want to hear, and adopting a sound that you haven't had before because it hasn't been as commercially viable. And if this new style and range of aesthetic choices are making her personally happier, then good for her. But that also doesn't mean that people can't have opinions about the content that she is now putting out. So as of recording this video, Doja Cat has released 3 singles in anticipation for her upcoming album Scarlet. Those singles are Attention, Paint the Town Red, and Demons, which have all had corresponding videos, and I have liked pretty much every single that she has put out. Is it this new groundbreaking edgy style that she's claiming it to be? For her, yeah, maybe. It's definitely a departure from something like Hot Pink or Planet Her, but it definitely is this edgy style of like pop trap rap that I've heard before. Is it the best music to chart this year? No. Is it the worst music to chart this year? definitely no, but what I find interesting is how quickly people have been switching up on different facets of the album that we've heard so far. For example, her first single, Attention, didn't get much attention when it first came out, despite the obvious devil look that's pretty visually interesting. But her second single, Paint the Town Red, has been everywhere. I think her most polarizing track to date has been Demons, and I remember just a few weeks ago it was a big trend to, get on TikTok and make fun of her for the We Are Enemies, We Are Foes verse. And now, after her performance at the VMAs, which objectively was one of the best of the night, people are taking a second look at the song, especially the later verse that has a different kind of flow switch up, and appreciating it for sounding really good and really different. And then there's the obvious dichotomy that people in my comments have definitely pointed out when I was saying that I was gonna do this video. How could people be falling out of love with Doja Cat when she's been charting really consistently with all of these singles? Clearly somebody has to be listening to her. And trust me, what people say they're listening to and what they actually are listening to are two completely different things. Do I agree with everything that Doja Cat has done thus far? Obviously, no, I don't. Everything that Doja has done during her Scarlet era has been to make the point that you don't have to like her or agree with her as a person. She just wants you to listen to her music, and if you don't want to listen to it, then she doesn't care. And I've talked about this before, but a common phenomenon that we're seeing with stan culture is that in everyday life, people feel so disenfranchised and marginalized when it comes to voting and activism and being able to affect real change within a capitalist framework that they feel like the only power they truly have to make a difference is in their consumption habits. And so they feel like every piece of media or content or artist they consume has to be 100% in line with their moral values. And that is never how this whole game has worked. If those were the rules that we all universally abided by, Michael Jackson would not have a musical on Broadway right now. Again, I'm not necessarily defending all of the shitty things that Doja Cat has ever done. In fact, my purpose in including those things here was to give you the full scope of her story because it would be unjust and unfair for me not to do that. As she made all of the correct choices up until the rollout of this album, do I think that people are just going to end up calling her an unoriginal edgelord when it finally comes out? Is she actually just an unoriginal edgelord who's drumming up all this controversy in order to get press for her new project? Maybe. I'm sure y'all all have opinions on that, and I'd love to hear about them down below. But in the meantime, I've been Kayla Says, and this has been your monthly dose of how the internet fell out of love. If you're new here, I do this series about once a month, and I'm always taking suggestions for new celebrities to profile, so please leave those down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.